Yes, I start off this evening's conversation with a quote from Larry J. Sabato's Pendulum swing. Now, every election is determined by the people who show up. Now, Nigerians will, in another 12 hours, that's come Saturday, 16th February, it's finally here, 2019, go to the polls to choose the leader, or the leaders in case, of course, we have double elections, both for the presidency and also that of the National Assembly. Now, they'll be exercising the power of their votes already. The experts are of the opinion that in a democracy, voting is not just a right. It is your right as a citizen, well, not just your right as a citizen, but a duty. Now, this duty is critical to the entrenchment of what should be in a democratic system for a country like Nigeria. It's also a power, if I may add that. It's your power. Now, if all this is true, why do many Nigerians still shy away from voting? And what difference can your one vote, just that your lone vote, make in the future of Nigeria's democracy? We'll be taking a critical look at these issues and more very shortly with my guest in the studio. As we remind Nigerians of the power of their vote, my name is Blessing Abu. Welcome to Nigeria Today. Yes, I said my guests are already seated in the studio to discuss the power of the vote. I'd like to welcome Mr. Obinna Urapa. Is a public affairs analyst. Mr. Urapa, welcome to the program. My pleasure, as always. Joining him on set is Mr. David Anyele. He is the Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disabilities. Mr. Anyele, welcome to the program. Thank you so much. And I see also that you're ready because one of the observers for the 2019 elections, all hands are certainly on deck. Yeah. That's great to know. Now let's start with a basic question, really. The reason to vote is the reason to be in governance, is the reason to do so many things. Now, many Nigerians do not believe that voting is part of a responsibility. Just, okay, it's one of those things saying that it's them, but it's every one of us. Now, how important is this civic right? Mr. Rapper?
It's as important as oxygen. I can assure you that voting gives essence to living. Citizenship comes with rights and obligations. As you expect the roads to be well made, you expect when you turn the tap, the water to flow. It's also, the onus also lies on you to contribute your quota, which is determining who will rule you. I think it was Plato or who that said that the price wise men pay for not being vigilant is to be ruled by those who are inferior to them. Exactly. You know, so coming to complain, we see situations on social media and on different platforms where people complain blatantly about what happens to them. So if tomorrow, Saturday, it's election time, 8 o'clock, you lie down on your bed, what you have inadvertently done is to cast your vote by not going to cast your vote, because you would have denied yourself the opportunity of determining who rules you or who leads you. Okay. And then what happens is that it's possible that your one vote, I remember when we were in the university, I remember students in elections, and there were two candidates, and after counting, one candidate got about 366, the other one got 365. By that singular vote, somebody became the president of the Students' Union of a big university. So I can tell you that one vote counts. And like Mother Teresa said, when you do an act of kindness, it's like dropping a stone in the ocean. The ripples go around the world. So by your inaction, you actually take action that begins to impact on the quality of persons that get into the green chamber, National Assembly, or the red chamber in the National Assembly, or who become the positional leaders at the ministerial level, or even the governorship level. So that right or that duty to go cast your vote is as important as taking in oxygen.
Mr. Anyele, why should Nigerians vote in elections?
Nigerians must go out to vote, especially eligible Nigerians, so as to define their future, so as they create the kind of future they desire. That is the only thing you can do for yourself by going out to vote. The only way to say, I want to live longer, I want to live in good health, I want to live in peace, is by going out to vote. It's as simple as ABC. In fact, the only way to say, I don't want to live with disability, is by going out to vote. So, as he rightly said, it's as important as the oxygen you breathe, exactly the truth. That is to say, as a citizen, you have the duty and obligation to design the kind of future you desire. And the only thing you can use to do that is by going out to cast your vote. It's as simple as ABC. So you can't be at the background to complain, oh, Mr. A did not do this, Mr. B did not do this after voting. No. Look at one thing about voting. Anyone who votes has that inner spirit to hold the person he voted for to account. If you don't vote, there is this inner spirit that tells you, oh, how I wish I would have held him to account. So by going out to vote, you are commanding your inner spirit to demand for accountability for whomever that is going to win or we are going to elect to lead us at various levels.
Okay. Gentlemen, I know at different points that you for your observation here and there over the period of electoral cycle, I'm sure you've done that before now. And I'm sure you voted severally and you've also listened to people, perhaps in your neighborhood or wherever you might have met with them, saying, why not? So why should we? So who are exactly these groups of people that you've seen that at least normally you was okay? Maybe it's the aged or it's the young group. Who are those ones particularly who would either to not want to vote or that we want to talk to this time around?
Yeah, depending on the category of individuals, based on their interaction with governance, this either encourage or discourages people to participate. Recognizing that we had a past history of military regime, where people are not part of the system, where parents were not able to tell their children stories about how governance or how they participated in the electoral process. As such, such children could not learn from their parents on how to do voting or how to demand accountability, because the military regime shredded their parents or grandparents in the process. These majority are the people who do not know the relationship between their future and going to cast their vote. As such, they see it as the duty of those, sometimes the elite or the middle class or the people who are educated or people who have one or two things to do with government. No, all of us have something to do with government. Therefore, it is your own obligation. If you're a young person, you want to get a better job, you want to see a better Nigeria where you can rock, where you can play, where you can, flex as much as you can. This is the opportunity for you to go and create it by casting your vote. So that by the time you cast your vote, if you're 18, imagine when you be the next 18 years, you'll be 36, you'll be able to see the kind of Nigeria you like. Imagine if you are 20, by the time you be 20 years more, you'll be 40 years, you can say, this is the kind of Nigeria I participated in designing. That is why it is important. Even if you're an old person and you are in your 70, it is your duty to tell your children, this is the kind of future I want to design for my children and my grandchildren moving forward. So it is the obligation of everybody. I always tell people, it's not time to complain. It's not about religion. It's not about ethnicity. It's about you and you alone. All right.
Where have we seen this like a lackadaisical attitude, or even the voter apathy generally? Where?
That's the word, voter apathy. Now, there's no smoke without fire. Permits me to use that cliche. The long and short of it is that if you take your minds back to things that have happened in the course of our political history, people have genuine reasons to be apathetical to anything elections. And I'll give you just one example. In 1993, I know that my dad as a lecturer and other lecturers in Albany Education queued up. For some of them, they felt they had seen some candidates that they believed in, and they queued up and voted. And what happened to the results? Since then, I can assure you that a few people have not voted again. And then a few other things have happened. We have seen situations where some people participated in the process, and then we hear stories of results being written. So it's a question of trust. Someone said if people like you, they will listen to you. If people love you, they will smile for you. If people trust you, they will do business with you. Now, it's important that the process be trusted. And I like the fact that the government, including the president, in the president's speech broadcast last night, he made it very clear that there's going to be transparency in the process. And we are holding INEC to account, which is why he's an observer. I've had the opportunity of training observers and monitors who will go for the domestic observers that will go for the elections. We are believing strongly that the security forces will do us that almost have that responsibility to allow the process to just flow. The fact that maybe there's a party that is in power at the state level or at the national level does not mean anybody should be sided. Now, when that begins to happen, and when people begin to believe that when they cast their vote will count, then they will come out and they will vote.
So trust is very key.
Trust is very key in the process.
Let's take a look at one other area. Well, I'm coming to at least your own special group too, because I know it's ED for Center for People Living with Disabilities. There is the sensitization for everyone, whether this group or even on the outside. How much of this sensitization do you see trickling down for everyone whom you've come across, at least?
Yeah, sensitization has been going on depending on different levels.
To believe that this time around
is going to,
judging from what you just
if you look at the disability community, there is this sense that there is going to be access, there is going to be inclusion. Most of the materials will be made accessible to people with disabilities, because access to electoral process means different things to different people. What it means to a blind person is different from what it means to a deaf or a physically challenged. This time around, a lot of sensitization have been going on. INEC have been speaking the language of people with disabilities. That is to say, telling them there will be priority voting, there will be braille materials for the blind, or there will be access to, pulling cubicles. All this language are language that encourages people to come out to vote, especially people with disabilities, because what hinders them from participating in the electoral process is different from what hinders people without disabilities from participating. Okay. However, in the recent past, especially during this regime of Professor Yakubu Mohammed, we found that he has been busy sensitizing and engaging organizations of people with disabilities for them to appreciate the provisions they are making. Beyond that, also, INEC have also developed what they call a framework for inclusion of people with disabilities. So we are looking at a situation where they are going to implement this framework. So at that level,
so far, how satisfactory is that, what you've seen so far?
Yeah, we are satisfied, as I said earlier, that the INEC is speaking the language of the disability community. So when you speak the language of the disability community, then there is interest. However, our expectation is that by tomorrow, we are going to see the extent of, implementation of some of these promises and the policy statements they've been making. We have trained people with disabilities as election observers in 7 states and Abuja. So we are expecting them to go to these states where they have been trained, for them to be able to interact and see to the extent of INEC provision. So that by so doing, they will be able also to document and also report, and either to recommend or praise INEC for the extent they've done.
All right, Mr. Ropa, at least quickly, because we're about to go on a break, to have a feel of what some Nigerians actually looking at in terms of knowing their voting power.
Excellent.
Is this sensitization enough motivation to move everyone out tomorrow? Yeah,
definitely. And I think there's been, fortunately, technology has helped us a lot. The social media has played a key role. However, I still believe that the parties could have done more. I believe that the National Registration Agency has done the much it could have done with the resources at her disposal. INEC, like he said, Mahmoud Yakub and his team have done quite a lot, and they've been very open-minded. There have been situations where they've tried to do a few things, and when his team raised some issues, they gave a listening ear. So I've seen that, to be fair to all concerned. Now, but I still believe that the onus actually lies with the political parties, because they are the ones that should canvass for votes. They're the ones that are supposed to mobilize their people. And even on election funding and all of that, I've not seen much of that. What you see is so much dominance of the media by the 2 key major parties. I believe that all other parties should have galvanized their people. Like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. We shouldn't always wait for the government. So sensitization should be an all-comers affair, and especially for the youths, who cut across the people with disabilities and women and so on. I believe strongly that we should drop that apathy. We should, from this night till the election starts tomorrow, on social media, where we're very strong, begin to push. And all of these complaints and then issue of some chaps in the southeast, I believe that we should just perish all of that. No matter how much complaints you have, this is the time to hold up Nigeria.
Okay, we'll look at other issues as we return from the break. Let's get to the street, as correspondent Alika Opanachi actually was out there earlier in the day asking Nigerians if they know the power in their hands to the PVC.
Just like we have done it in 2015, we expect electorate to also come out in mass and perform their civic responsibility, because this is the duty of a citizen.
A citizen who wish to dispense or discharge his constitutional rights must vote.
Women are not supposed to be in the house cooking or doing other household work. It is time for us to come out. If you don't come out, women occupy the highest population in this country when you check the census. So if we don't come out, who is to give us the right person that you want on that seat?
I want the Nigerians and the youth to come out and vote in masses, because I don't want violence. Everybody has his own opinion, whether he or she. You vote your conscience, and whenever your conscience tells you that is a rightful candidate, you have to do that. Don't collect money from anybody. Right?
To come out en masse and participate in this tomorrow election.
I always advise people to go out tomorrow to vote. Even in my office, anywhere I met people, I advise some people to go and collect their card and vote, so that we won't complain after the election.
Every citizen should not feel reluctant. It's a civic responsibility. You go there and exercise your franchise.
For me, I'm going to come out. I'm going to vote the person that I want. I want people to shun violence. People should not approach to violence. They should go there and exercise their franchise, and I believe that they will not be disenfranchised.
Views from the street. We're back in the studio with Selbina Rappa and also David Daniele. Yes, I'm sure cross-section of Nigerians there, and enthusiasm is there, no doubt, which is what is great.
Excellent.
What's your take on general outlook from what they've said?
Yeah,
and perhaps at least what we'll have seen today moving around.
I'm happy that Nigerians are excited. When you look at their faces, they are not saying it out of grudge, out of bitterness. They are saying it out of excitement, which shows that there is a kind of excitement on the air that tomorrow we are going to recruit people who are going to work for us. So if Nigerians understand that what they are going to do tomorrow is to do recruitment, that is to say, somebody I want him to work for me, I'm going to do it. So you feel excited to go and do it. So that's the kind of feelings I'm getting from, from the interview conducted, among, Nigerians. It is important that Nigerians begin to galvanize to create the kind of future they desire. I want to see a Nigeria where not just they go out to vote, but immediately they finish voting, the winners, announced, they begin to hold them to account. Accounting is, very, very important for me, because it's a process. If Nigerians don't understand it's a process, they won't know when to hold people to account. The moment they come out en masse to vote, after voting, results announced, winners identified, demand for accountability commence.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. And that is how Nigerians can feel the joy of electing whoever they chose. But at the moment they feel that, oh, I'm going to vote, there is fear of maybe my vote will not be counted or whatever, then the urge to demand for accountability will probably went down. So okay. that's where from what you have shown me just now, I'm excited. So tomorrow we are going to see Nigerians coming out, having fun, queuing, vote, wait, count the vote, take their numbers. All the people who are contesting are Nigerians. They are not foreigners. So those who are going to win are also Nigerians.
Okay, let's get Mr. Rappa's views before we go to the next line of action.
No, I'm on the same path with him. In fact, we're singing from the same hymn book. I can assure you that I've not seen an election in Nigeria that has generated this much excitement and enthusiasm.
Excitement, yes. Anxiety as well. So it's part of the process.
It's part of the process. Like a lady going into the maternity ward. You know what? It comes to the anxiety, excitement. There's the potential of having a good delivery, and there's also the fear of anything could happen, and then the husband is outside the delivery ward.
He has anxiety.
we are all excited, holding our with bated breath. Even the contestants, the exciting one is the fact that nobody can authoritatively say, I'm sure I'm going to win this election. Because the power is in the hands of the people. One man, one vote. One woman, one vote. One youth, one vote. And the faces I saw there are the faces of people who are empowered.
Yeah.
Meaning that somehow the first thing, the earlier thing I said about trust, that means they have a trust in the system. Okay. You know, and someone said if you want to make a man, I think it was George Bush Senior that said, if you want to make a man trustworthy, simply trust him. So we trust that INEC will do right. We trust that the security forces will do right. We trust that whoever is responsible for making the process smooth will do right. Okay, so we trust them.
What should Nigerians have in the back of their mind as they leave their home to cast their vote tomorrow? Because we know you've talked about the issue of sensitization, and we also want to see that, okay, people do not get themselves enmeshed in what will now disqualify their votes, invalid ballots and all of those ones. How much do you think Nigerians know what? In fact, there was a time people were talking about it's just this term or what, but now we all already have this information. So how do we get Nigerians to actually be on the right path to actually do that? Take alongside issue of vote buying and also selling. Those are things we should. So talk to me.
Yeah. In fact, I want to use this opportunity to ask Nigerians to do rehearsal this evening. Yeah. You know, yes. If you don't know what to use to do rehearsal, use palm oil. Just touch it and you use a plain paper and do the first rehearsal. Make sure it's not too much. Draw a line for yourself. Use it to do rehearsal because it's a preparation. Because you're going to recruit. You're going to recruit people who are going to work for you. If you're going to recruit people who are going to work for you, you need to prepare your questions or whatever tool you're going to use to do recruitment. So it is not a time for vote buying. It's dangerous. When I see people who involve themselves in vote buying or selling, I said, these people don't understand what they are doing. They're not just damaging themselves, they are damaging their children and their offspring. Because when you secure election or victory through vote buying, you are destroying the society. When you also vote through vote buying or selling, you also contributing in destroying the society. So it is bad. It is ugly. No one should participate in that. Knowing fully well that this is a 4 years event. A 4 years, how can you buy it with 20,000 naira or 10,000 naira or 1,000 naira? So the moment you involve yourself in vote buying or selling, you have denied yourself the power to demand accountability. Because as I always say, it's not just voting. It's about your ability to demand for accountability. That's what makes other societies, stronger. Because the citizens demand accountability. The citizens know that I recruited you, I want you to work for me, and if you cannot explain to me the way you are working for me, I have the right to ask you out. So the person who is coming to serve will serve with fear and trembling, knowing fully well that people are there watching him. If he messes up, they'll say the truth. Okay,
electorate after casting their votes or before, during, issue of thuggery, violence, which some of the respondents actually talked about. How do we disabuse the minds of people who want to come and foment trouble?
I think it's a two-way thing. You have the security forces, then you have the citizens watching out for one another. I strongly believe that if we are, except of course where the security forces refuse to do what they're supposed to do, if we all band as one body and say we refuse this. I remember the case of Edo State when I don't want to mention names, contested. Contested there. I know that the people closed the market and followed the ballot boxes to the place where it was counted, and they surrounded the place until the result was released. So I can tell you authoritatively that our people need to delay gratification. Like he said, if you collect 4,000 naira, it's 1,000 per year. If you divide it, it comes about 4 naira per day. It doesn't make sense. Delay the gratification, and then know that all of this will translate to roads, to translate to water, to everything you need, to the jobs you're looking for. So as much as possible, our people need to be sensitized and let the parties do what they're supposed to do. And then ultimately, let everybody understand that it's about the country called Nigeria. If we don't build this country and we destroy it, it's only the green passport we have. You cannot be a second-class citizen in Sierra Leone, and we know what happens elsewhere.
All right. It's only Nigeria we have. Protect it and let your vote count. The power is in your hand as you go out tomorrow. That's all the time we have for this particular discussion. Nigeria Today. We must appreciate our guests. We'd like to thank David Tanyele. We wish you well as you go about doing your observation tomorrow. Let's make sure that everything counts the way that we have imagined it will be. Also, I'd like to appreciate Mr. Obina Rappa. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, you can actually watch this edition or any other edition at all on the program that's online now. Nigeria Today at youtube.com/NTA News 24 up. That's it. All right, let me remind you to go exercise your franchise again. It is very important. And I'd also like to tell you that if you don't vote, just like we said, you lose that power to complain. That's what the church has. Thank you very much.